It's Mohim for Boxing Domination, and today I'm joined by the best bare knuckle fighter on the planet, the greatest fighter of all time, Jimmy Sweeney himself, joining me from Zoom. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you for having me on. You good?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you. Thank you for always coming on. Listen,
No, not a problem
good
at all.
win, a close fight, good win against James Connelly. Tell me the aftermath, how it feels.
Yeah, good fight. James is a good fighter. We've put a lot on the line. Me and him. We give the fans what they wanted. A very good fight. Um, yeah. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, James is robbed and this and that." But if you look back on that fight, I give him the first round. I probably would have given him the second. But then I've come into my own then on in the third and took the rest of the fight. The third round to the seventh, I've took them. I think I've outworked them. I've outworked them in every round. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's as I said, but every round was close. I've edged the rounds, but they were close rounds. But I've edged from round three to round seven. But a very good fight.
Very bad cut. It was amongst the worst cut in bare knuckle boxing history, really. In terms of your cut, though, what was it like to fight with such a bad vision during the fight?
Um, that's a cut that's reopened from the second Jones fight. The first punch in that fight open completely split my eye open. You could see literally the bone. So when it's happened again on that fight, that's all I was thinking was, wow, this is going to be stopped again. Another cut, exact same eye. So I've got back to my corner and the corner have worked it well, stopped the bleeding. The doctors come in and he's just saying, "Oh, I'm going to give you another round, one more round." And so I went out, boxed that round, come back. Um, there was no blood on it, but go back to like the second round. The second round, I think I went half that round without being able to see. The blood was like pouring, so I got in both my eyes. All I could see was literally a shadow. I couldn't even make James out. The blood was just gushing in my face. So the corner team did a very good job. Good woman, the corner team, very good job on stopping that. And I don't think it bothered me then from the end of the second to the seventh. It wasn't gushing on my face. It wasn't streaming down, and I went into them rounds knowing, right, this is a bad cut. You got to protect this cut. So I've started boxing. But even though when I was boxing, I've started put the pressure on them. So it was a strange one as well because when you cut someone like that, the first thing you do is jump on them in the next round, and James never did that. He stayed off me. He was looking for that big shot, and I could see it. So I think that played into my hands because I could really box then and set my pace on it. If that was me against him and I cut him, I would have jumped on him on the third round and I would have just swung like fuck because one or two punches would have stopped that fight. That cut was that bad, but he couldn't land the shot. He was looking for the big shot too much on after the second round, and it just played into my hands.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a very hard fight to fight with such a cut like that. But in terms of the venue as well, would you say that played an advantage or disadvantage for you because it was a different city?
Uh, it's not really didn't really play much of anything, to be fair. It's when you're a fighter, it's just the venue doesn't it don't make a difference. The venue, the crowd, obviously the crowd was obviously pro James on and I'm my crowd, but his crowd was bigger than mine. So for him, I would have given him a little boost and all that. But I'm a professional. I've fought everywhere. Like I've done a lot of shows now. So my only worry is the guy in the ring with me. You know what I mean? Not the crowd. So it didn't really matter about the venue or his hometown or anything like that.
And in terms of the fight that we spoke about last time, was you've actually opened up about maybe potentially fighting in America. Is that something that you'd still be open to maybe in the future?
Yeah, that as we spoke last time. I said I'm not gonna speak about that until after this fight, and yeah, I just gotta let the eye heal up now. If you look at that fight again, that eye was that bad. A lot of people would have packed it in, would have jacked it in after receiving such a bad cut. But just shows that the kind of fighter I am, that I stuck with it for the 7 rounds, and got the win. So, but I'm gonna let that heal. I think the doctor was saying it takes about 6 weeks for it to close the heel ride. Now, and then but then it's going to take a lot longer. Then I'll probably start sparring in about 3 months' time. Just see, going into the American one, it's like with their rule set and all that, they can grab, hold you down, punch you. So do I take the risk so soon? They were looking at August time. Do I take the risk so soon, getting out there? But it's something I'm going to have to think of. Like it's only April now, so I'm back in the gym this week. I'm gonna keep focus, and push. Like I want to train like I'm fighting in August, but we were going to see how the eye is healed up by then.
Is that like one of your plans to maybe fight in America before you retire?
Yeah. I don't have long left in this game. I'm 40. I'm 40 in July, and so it's kind of one of those things where I think every fighter wants to, like, doesn't matter what sport they're in. America is always something that the fighters want to do. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a fighter. And with me now, I see all our lads going over. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm the longest serving BKB fighter on the roster. I'm here 10 years or however long I'm here. I want a piece of that. You know what I mean?
Also, the most wins as
The
well,
most, yeah, I'm the
most
most wins,
knockouts.
the most decorated fighter, but I'm not really pushed about all that. I've done all that. Yes, I'm this and that. I'm happy with how my career has been, and I wanna end it with a fight in America.
Yeah, I spoke to you about maybe hope like my fantasy venue for you fighting in would be to see you fight in your hometown, Ireland. I think
Oh,
that would
that
be
that
incredible.
yeah, that would be absolutely amazing, and we could definitely sell it out. But unfortunately, due to politics and stuff like that, I don't think an Irish BKB show would be on the cards.
Yeah, I think that would be very chaotic to
Yeah,
really start
yeah.
with.
Yeah, could get very bad, to be fair. But and this is the thing with Ireland. Like, for a lot of people, like, we've a lot of travel community in Ireland. The BKB, we've done a lot. So you're looking at, with BKB in Ireland, it's seen as a bad thing in it, because it's trouble comes from it and stuff like that. So you're going to go into a country where you have nothing but bad things to say about it. So you're not going to get venues. The Gardaí are not going to put on these shows, just due to the trouble that these fights have brought before.
I agree. I agree. And in terms of the fight in Ireland as well, another big fight happening at Croke Park very soon. Katie Taylor will be returning, back to Ireland, and the plan is for her to fight in Croke Park. I want to ask
Yeah.
you, because I've never actually asked you about Katie Taylor. Um, in like, do you think maybe women in bare knuckle boxing could be like as similar to how when Katie Taylor brought up herself in
Yeah,
boxing.
yeah. First of all, Katie Taylor is an absolute legend, the greatest Irish fighter of all time, absolute legend. But yeah, it with the women's bare knuckle now. If you look in America, the like, or female fighters are just starting. You know what I mean? They're not like boxers or stuff like that. So their level, um from where that is, they haven't had the pre fights like other, like, good boxer, and they haven't had that experience. So they're basically starting from there. You know what I mean? But they are going to get better, but it's going to take a bit of time. You know what I mean? It's because Annie, if you look at it, the pro game, that's only recently how the women have got so good in it, and putting on the good shows. You know what I mean? So if you're a decent boxer as a woman, you're pro. You're not coming over to the bare knuckle. But eventually they will get there.
And one thing I really wanted to ask you was in terms of the influencer fights as well. I know that's something you don't like to answer, but there's Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul happening. It's an absolute circus show. You know, what's your thoughts on something like that that's
I
going
have
on?
I have absolutely no thoughts on that. Move next question.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll just cut that bit out. In terms of, shit, give me a second. Okay, I was receiving a phone call. In terms of your next fight, of course, the plan is, you know, if the cut heals in August, then you know you'll be fighting in August, of course. But how many fights do you think, with a very bad cut like this, how many fights do you think you could maybe fit in?
We see, we don't know. All depends on how it's healed. They've stitched it. Um, they've done the best. The doctors done the best they can, but he stitched it, and then he's had to re-stitch it again because it's been so bad. So hopefully that makes it heal a bit better than just giving it the one layer stitches. Um, it's one of those questions where you don't know. You don't like. I could have 5 fights. Like I've had from that Jones fight, I've had 3 fights and it hasn't opened. Then I've had this fight and it's open again. You know what I mean? My next fight could open straight away. Yeah, or then I could have 5 fights. You don't know, but I think if it was my next fight, whenever that is, if it opens again, I'm gonna have to sit down and really think about retiring because it's one of those things where I'm at a level now that I don't want to be getting beat by someone because they've opened up an old cut. I don't want my legacy tarnished from losses due to cuts. And unfortunately, as we see my face, these cuts are opening up. Like, don't get me wrong. There's not. I don't think anyone's going to bother me, but without not being overly big headed and stuff like that. But without the cuts, I don't think I'm going to get beat again. I'm never going to get beat again without the cuts. But unfortunately, I'm getting cut.
And in terms of the comments that were coming in from, of course, the sorry. In terms of the comments that you know you were getting from the Connelly side as well, you know, like his fans were saying stuff like, "Oh, it's a robbery," or James should have won that. Jimmy should have never won. What's your thoughts on those comments? Like, what does it do
It's,
mentally?
it doesn't do anything to me. That like people have their own opinions, and however wrong it is, I see people going up going, "Oh, compare the faces and all that." Like literally, my injury was happened through probably one punch, 2 punch in the second round. Nothing else. Like so, just because I have a horrible looking cut, does that mean I've lost the fight? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Other people are saying this and that, but if you ask the judges who are don't like these are not judges that's just come in this never judge a fight in their lives. These are not people who just picked off the street and say, "Here, do you want to judge a bare knuckle show?" These are like proper judges and referees that know the sport. And if you ask them, they'll tell you straight. Jimmy's outworked him. James hasn't done enough after them 2 rounds to win that fight. Jimmy's outworked him. So I'm not going to be sitting here and going, "Oh, look at that person and said I've lost a fight because I done this and I done that." I don't really care. I, years ago it would have got to me, but I know in I know my head and soul that I've won that fight. I could. I'm honest enough to say I probably would have been down 2 rounds, the first 2 rounds, but I've won the rest of the fight. You know what I mean? And even James probably deep down knows he didn't do enough to win that fight. But I'm not pushed on what people think. People have their opinions. People can they're sitting at home drinking the beers, going, "Oh, look at his eye. He's definitely lost that." It is what it is. As long as the professionals know who won that fight, that's all that matters.
And is a rematch that could happen sometime down the line, or is this where it kind of closes
No,
off?
I've I've opened up like James is a very good fighter, and I've said to him that if he ever wanted that rematch again, that's up to him. I've won that fight. I have other things in place that I'm going to push for. But if he wanted that rematch again, that'd be absolutely no problem at all. I'd give him that if he wanted it, but it would have to be for his world title. I'm not putting mine on the line again because I didn't have to do it the first time, but I did it because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not pushed. I'm not pushed about world titles. I'm not pushed about losing them I'm the big fights excite me. You know what I mean? So I've said it after the interview. If he wants that fight again, it'll have to be for his title, and that's totally up to himself what he wants to do.
And there you have it. The word have been spoken by the man himself. Jimmy, one more thing I want to ask you is, what's your favorite part about bare knuckle boxing? Is it being punched or is
Win,
it the punching?
win, winning, winning.
Winning, winning
I
and
I
punching.
I hate getting punched at. I hate yeah, I hate getting punched. So if anyone ever says to you, "I love getting punched," there's something seriously wrong with them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Do you know what? I love it all. Like, don't wrong. Like, obviously, I love fighting, but obviously, I love winning. I love the excitement from the crowd. I love the venues. I love the day before the interviews, the weigh-ins, the whole build up to the shows. I love it all.
One thing I definitely realized was when I was watching the Julian Lane fight, the first fight and the rematch, of course. Um, I spoke about this before to you, about your shape back then and compared to your shape now. Of course, you look like an absolute madman back in the day. Absolute madman. You used to keep your guard down and you used to literally, walk through your opponents. Now, in terms of like your younger self, I mean, when you was younger, did you actually enjoy getting hit? Because it felt like you enjoyed it.
Nah, I didn't really enjoy it either. Just probably too lazy to put my hands up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, that yeah, the old me was like completely different to this me. It was like chalk and cheese. It's completely different fighter. Complete like not really style wise, but the ways I've lived my life back then to now, and now I take it serious. You know what I mean? I'm fighting good guys. I'm fighting proper athletes. Back then, I was just fighting absolutely good guys as well, but not as skilled as the guys I fight today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, so I put more effort into keeping myself in shape and stuff like that now. But back then I was just drinking and messing. I didn't care because I think I knew as well most of the people I fought back there I could have just knocked them out. Like whenever I hit them, they were gone. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really worried about defense.
And that's the interview wrap. Thank you, Jimmy. We'll catch up with you very soon and hopefully in the show in May. Before we go, is there anything you want to say maybe to your sponsors?
Yeah, just a massive thank you to all my sponsors that's helped me out during not just this camp but all my camps. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And we'll speak up with the GOAT himself, the best, Jimmy Sweeney, very soon. Thank you.
See you soon.